Hey guys, welcome back to NMTB. Sorry again for my face cam here. If you guys hadn't watched my hell of a update from last week, if this is going in the right order, which I think it is, which I actually don't know because I haven't really sat down to think about how I was going to be putting these videos out because I don't exactly know timing. But when this video does come out, I'm going to be starting to enter graduation mode, which to me is such an insane prospect to think of, and it's such a crazy thing for me to consider with everything that's happened so far. And I just kind of wanted to take a moment, take a video to be able to talk about that a little bit, and to kind of give my thoughts, give my updates, I guess, and kind of give a lot of stuff on where it's going. But this is big. This is literally me moving on to the next big chapter of my life. And yeah, I can't believe I'm here. Is like every time I've had someone say like, "Oh yeah, finals are going to be happening in a week from now," or having people who've said like, your final projects are due for now. It's like, yeah, there's a part of me that's always like, oh dang it, I got a lot of stuff I got to do and a lot of work that needs to get done before all of that. But then there's also a part of me that's like, how are we already here? How are we already at this point where we're already at the end of our year together? Like it's crazy to me. It's insane to me that we're already here. Um, and I kind of wish I wish I could kind of say that with a little happier, like a little happier with that. But it's very exciting. I'm very happy with the fact that I worked my hardest, that I was able to graduate within 4 years, that I'm going to be moving on to this whole brand new chapter of my life. Like that, it's an exciting thing, and it should feel that way for it. But at the same time, like there's a lot I'm feeling with it. There's the obvious ones of I'm scared because of what's going to happen next. I mean, I have no idea what life is going to look like going forward. I'm going to be, I'm going to be looking for a job. I'm going to be looking for work to do basically anything I can do. By the way, if you're looking for potentially a screenwriter or a writer of any kind or an editor, hit me up. Here's my call out saying that I am actively looking for work. Um, so yeah, I mean, there's that whole prospect. And it's like it's the one of the things I feel like a lot of people, I know I definitely did, when I was growing up, going into all these different years of school, I always told myself like, this is the year that counts. This is the year that matters. This is where like every action I take matters toward where I'm going to next. And if we're being completely honest, it never really did quite as hard as I'd put the pressure on myself for it. It's like the things I do, they matter. They fully do matter for where it is I'm heading, and they fully matter for that kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't think I ever really needed that to put that pressure on myself the way that I was. It's like it the choices I made and the work I put into it, I wouldn't have changed no matter what. I'm always going to work my hardest, but that mentality that if I don't do well, the backlash that comes from that is the mindset I probably didn't necessarily need for a lot of moments there. It's like the something that my parents would tell me while also saying, by the way, you need to make sure you're working your hardest and that kind of thing. Is also that like things in life, while they might not be the neatest, while they might not be the way that we intend for them to work out, while they might not even be the thing that we wanted out of our life, things have a way of working out in ways you just never would expect. Some of this I like to think of the Frasier quote of the, might not always be perfect, but things have a funny way of turning out anyway. Um, I don't know what my life would have been like if I hadn't come here to Ithaca, if I hadn't gotten to meet the people that I did, but, as grateful as I am for meeting all of them and as happy as I am that I got to meet them, I have a funny feeling inside that we would have, in some way, shape, or form, found each other, and that we would have eventually crossed paths somehow. It would have been harder, but I have a faith inside that we would have been able to. And wherever I would have ended up, I think I would have made a friend or two somewhere there. So, like, there's that part of me that's kind of like, I can't imagine myself going anywhere else but here in Ithaca, but at the same time, I feel like any school I would have gone to, I would have I would have worked my hardest anywhere I would have been, and I would have worked toward making my ideal life a reality, however possible, and kind of wherever that place is, it mostly just becomes a backdrop in that sense. Now, the thing that made this year something so much more than just a backdrop, and the other thing I'm the saddest about is this is the part where a lot of friends and I kind of part ways. Not forever, necessarily not in like that dramatic sense, but like there's something to moving to this next part of your life and knowing you're not going to be like right next door to your best friends like I was for these 4 years. Like, Ollie and I, we were in the same kind of area-ish on campus, so it was so easy for us to go see each other. And now we're a little further away. It's a little harder for us to meet up with each other now. Um, so it's like there's so much here that's just like it. Selfishly, I wish that we could just have more time like this of us all hanging together. But at the same time, I'm very excited for what my friends have coming for them ahead of their lives. I'm very proud of how far they've come, and I know, cheesy as this is going to sound, I know they're going to do really, really great out there, and I hope I'm going to get to be there to see it all, and I'm excited to be able to see it all. Um, so it's that whole prospect of moving on to this next part of my life that's just scary, and then there's also the aspect of here, this YouTube. Um, YouTube was never a thing that I focused on like too much over the course of my time here. Like I did this for 3 years, and just kind of did whatever it is I wanted to do with the channel. I showcased my talents with some stuff. I made a lot of kind of whoopses with a lot of what I was doing, and I kind of like I always meant for this channel to be a reflection of a lot of my skills, and I haven't really done that with these reaction videos. I've shown I can talk. That's a skill I have, I guess. But like it's mostly this is my step out into the communities that I've always been a big fan of. This is my contribution to the communities that I've always been a big fan of. I'm weird. I've always been weird. I'm someone who can talk endlessly about anime, but then not be able to tell you about what's happening right in front of me in the real world. I'm someone who can talk for hours and hours and hours about fiction and fantasy and all this other kind of stuff that matters a lot to me, but might not necessarily matter to a lot of other people. And it's really funny. I wrote a story for my class at one point, and it was kind of the story takes place in a world kind of like our own, with a character who's very much like me, who kind of has this deeper connection to, I guess, what most would refer to as like their inner child or that kind of thing. And a lot of people commented like, "Oh, what a man baby the main character was," and that kind of thing. And I didn't take that necessarily as a blow, but at the same time, oh, did that hurt? But yeah, no, it was really funny the reactions people had to like that kind of stuff I was doing. Nah, but I was very that's just a big part of who I am. That is a part of myself that I'm never going to sacrifice for anything, because it's where I'm happiest and that kind of thing. And that's not something that a lot of people connect to. And I kind of struggled over the course of these past couple of years connecting with people because of that. I have like near acquaintances, but then never like a full like bonded friend, if you would, from like a lot of people that I got to meet over the year. But then there's a few people who I met, like the amazing anime club that I was a part of, or Alia, or my friends who I made over the course of my time in the LA program, the friends I lived with during the LA program. Just I made a bunch of friends who are my best friends and who I can go to and have these conversations with, and we can talk ourselves blue in the face over why One Piece is a good anime or why it isn't in my case. Like I have friends I can do that with, and that's a really cool thing that I have with that, and I don't want to give that up. And YouTube being my gateway to talking to a lot of people and meeting a lot of people, I don't want to give that up either. But I have to be fair and honest with my audience, with myself. Really, I don't know what is going to happen with YouTube. The moment that I get handed that diploma, I don't know where my mind is going to be with doing YouTube. I don't know where my time is going to go. I mean, I'm going to be spending a lot of time looking for work, and then once I do get work, then I don't know what time I'm going to have left to do YouTube, because, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff. I just don't know really where stuff is going to fit in. Yeah, it's scary. It's that moment when you have to give up the things that you're so used to doing, and then you have to give up the things that you enjoy doing so much. It's always going to be kind of a scary time for a bit, but like with me in Ithaca, I wasn't used to living so far away from home. I wasn't used to having to more or less fend for myself. I mean, not really, because given that we had a cafeteria and all the other kind of stuff, but I was in charge of making sure I was going to my classes. There was no one waking me up. I was in charge of making sure that I had everything managed, that my computer is in order, that everything here is working, that I made sure to actually treat myself. It's the another story. I got offered a thing for an internship not that long ago, and I have an issue when it comes to work in that I fixate a little too heavily on doing the work I have to do at the expense of a lot of other things. So I got to the end of working on a thing for my internship to move on to the next process of that internship. And my head was really hurting. I was feeling really tired, and I didn't know why. So I went to bed that night, and then I woke up the next morning. And I'm going about my day, and I'm like, man, I wonder why I was feeling that way. I was like feeling really bad that day. And it wasn't until I said it out loud. It's like, surely it wasn't because I was in a dark room with no lights and I hadn't drunk water for like 4 hours and I hadn't eaten food until after that work was done. Surely that wouldn't have done it, right? And then later I'm like, oh yeah, no, that probably is what did it. It's like I fixate a little too heavily on doing the job and doing the job well that I kind of cut out a lot of that taking care of myself aspect of it. And that was something that I kind of really wasn't used to in my first year here. Like I had days where I was just like really dragging myself to do it. That wasn't healthy for myself. And that was something I aimed to change in my second semester that year because I wasn't happy and I wasn't doing the work as efficiently as I wanted to. But it's so easy for me to get fixated on trying to do the job and trying to do the job as well as I can. So I kind of cut pretty much everything else out to try to do that, and that's not a good idea. Um, so it's going to be an adjustment of that in a way once I get out there, and it's the thing I'm going to fixate so much on that. I don't know how YouTube's going to work in that case, and then when I do have that balance, then it's kind of like, well, I'm working so hard on other things, then where's that energy I'm getting for doing YouTube? And then it's also timing I'm going to have to do with other stuff, and it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment. There's going to be a lot of growing pains that are going to happen. Um, I don't want to say like this is the last video I'm ever going to upload on this channel because it definitely isn't. But you know, I guess I could say like you guys can expect like maybe a lot of breaks from me from this point onward. There will be like I'll do my hardest to make sure that I have videos pre-recorded. Like if I like I'll do like shorter form videos that I can record like all in one day, and that way I can just have videos that are continually coming out every week as I have been doing so far. Um, but then I don't know. Like there's gonna come a point where there's just no time for me to record videos anymore. That time has been happening recently where I haven't really had time to sit down and record my reactions to ReZero. I haven't had time to sit down and record my covers of Mastermind or all this other stuff that I've wanted to do. Or I haven't had time to really sit down and do the script writing videos that I've wanted to do for the longest time. Or like, there's so many videos I want to do. I just never have the time to sit down and do them. So, this is me with just my classes that I'm worried about. When I'm worrying about my job, where I'm getting paid, and a lot of that matters a lot more, what's going to happen then? And I don't really have answers to that. And I'm not going to have the answers to that for a long, long time. But, one thing I might do a lot more of is I might do a lot more of these kind of videos. Just me talking to you guys and being like, hey, here's where I am in my life, day one on the job. And do kind of like a video journal of my story with this whole development of my life. Because then, like, I don't know who's going to want to hear that, but, like, it's me reaching out to the community and kind of being like, here's where I am with this. Here's where my life is going with this. What advice you guys have to share? What stories you guys have to share? And I kind of want to open that up to having people to talk about that with. And kind of open my range and open that wide circle of friends, potentially. Because, as much as I always am of the belief, like, I'm an introvert, I prefer my time spent alone a lot, and I kind of like those moments where I'm just like, okay, nothing is happening. I just can breathe. It's just me, my anime, my book, whatever it is I'm doing, and the world's not gonna fall apart if I just sit down for a second and just be on my own. It's just that I appreciate those times a lot, but then equally I appreciate having time with my friends. Like it's never the thing I seek, but then whenever I do it, I tend to have a really good time with it. Like with Ollie and I, like we never really planned to do things together. It just kind of they happened, and whenever they did, I'd be really happy, and I'd have a lot of fun with when that would happen. But then some days we'd also just be like, hey, we just need to have a day off today. We just need to have some time to just do our own thing and kind of just have that time to recenter and reground ourselves, and that's an okay thing too. And it's a thing I feel like a lot of people that I've come into contact with over the course of my life, like they don't really get that. It's kind of it's hard for them to understand. Like it's not that I am being necessarily rude or not necessarily that I want to be isolated, and they kind of see that as like a bad thing. That being isolated, isolation is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's the thing that keeps us sane and keeps us kind of mentally there, because sometimes just being around people is an energy that I personally don't always have. That's a similar thing with YouTube. Like sometimes just I don't have the energy and I don't have that like drive to do YouTube because I'm working on doing so many other things, and I'm trying my hardest to be the best I can be, and it just something has to give for that. And I regret the fact that it's YouTube that has to give for that most of the time. But it's the way that things go sometimes. It's the want versus the need. I'd love to be able to keep giving my energy to YouTube wherever I can, but ultimately that's not the thing I need to do. I need to be able to keep working forward and keep moving forward to be the best me that I can be, and to keep pushing myself to do more and to be better than I was before. And something that I've never been good at is giving myself time to recognize the fact that I am getting better. Um, sometimes I still feel like I'm the same boy I was in elementary school, or sometimes even middle school. I feel like I'm the same person I was then, and maybe to a lot of degrees I still am. But in that thinking, I don't give myself time to realize that I'm going to become a part of society now. Of like, I am gonna be looking for work now, and I know this chapter of my life is over, and I've worked so hard, and I'm gonna be able to, which not, say like it's there are people who I know who are still trying to figure out where they're going with their life and that kind of thing. And some of them are taking this time to pursue graduate school and pursue other avenues. And I don't really know what I'm going to do next, but to say that I made it through in 4 years and I never failed a semester. I never failed enough, or I guess never failed enough that I was ever in any particular worry. But like it's the I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. It's just a lot of emotions happening all at once with this, and like I would say I don't give myself time to really recognize how far I've gone with my life, and it kind of becomes easy to feel like nothing I do matters because of that. But in times like these videos and times like this, I give myself that time to look back and realize I've done a lot. I it wasn't until like Alia posted this on my channel not that long ago that like, I have over 100 videos. Like in 3 years, I have recorded over 100 videos on this channel, which I never thought I'd ever have in me to do. And the thing is, like, I never thought of the number of that. I just was kind of like, hey, here's a video I want to make today. Let's just do that. And that was pretty much all it was. And I was always just like, okay, on to the next video, on to the next video, on to the next video, on to the next video. And I never realized that I did that. Like to me, that was just a number, and it didn't. It took me a while to realize, like, damn, I've done a lot of stuff with that. It's something I'm still working on for myself, but just kind of giving myself that little bit of grace, and that I've done a lot more than I'm giving myself credit for. Um, and yeah, I'm ready to do more. It's just gonna take a lot of adjustment with it. But I appreciate the people who've stuck with me through this whole process, and I appreciate the people who've been with me from beginning to wherever it is we are now, because I don't want to say end, because it definitely isn't the end yet, but it's a new chapter that we're starting here. and I don't really know what this chapter is going to entail. We don't know what the future is going to hold, but we're grateful for every moment that we get to spend with you. So, thank you guys so much for watching this one. Thank you guys so much for listening to me and for kind of listening to me ramble, if we're being completely honest, for most of this video. But yeah, no, this is something I just wanted to be able to say. I appreciate you guys so much for all the love and all the support you've given this channel up to now. I'm grateful for the state that the channel is in now, and I'm very excited for what's potentially going to happen in our future, and for what's going to potentially happen for this whole new chapter of our lives. And, you know, I'm hoping I can take you with me for it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I am Ani-mity, and signing off.